Okay, I'm gonna begin this video by saying that if you are somebody who is complaining about the white bezels on these brand new iMacs, then these computers are probably not meant for you. So recently, Apple just announced their brand new iMac lineup, and this is a welcomed refresh and redesign to their baseline iMac models. They're bold, they're very colorful, the screen is beautiful, and they're equipped with Apple's M1 chip. Now, these computers aren't, in my opinion, meant for really hardcore power users like myself and many others, even though they are fully capable of doing a lot of incredible things, especially because they are powered by Apple's own silicon. So they really are very capable devices with that M1 chip. And that M1 chip, ever since it was announced and first placed into the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro, and even the Mac Mini, it's been shattering expectations as to what it is capable of and what it can do. So even though these brand new iMacs can do a lot of incredible things, in my view, that these computers are really meant for kind of the general audience. These computers are meant to be general computers that you find laying around in somebody's house, and they just need a computer to do basic things like get online, do some document editing, do some photo editing, do some media consumption, and all sorts of other things. Now, that's not to say that these iMacs can't do really powerful things. In fact, that M1 chip that's powering these new iMacs can do a lot of cool stuff. You can do 4K video editing. You can do a lot of really intense photo editing if you get the fully maxed out, like the 8-core GPU and the CPU version of the M1 chip. But really, these iMac computers are meant to be that general purpose computer that you find in somebody's house where kids are jumping on it to do homework and whatever else, that somebody needs to just get online and do things with these computers. Or if you walk into a school library or a computer lab, you're most likely gonna see these types of computers. Now, the fact that it can also do a lot of 4K video editing and a lot of other really cool stuff is a bonus. And that's all thanks to that M1 chip that Apple has equipped within these computers. Okay, now I want to shift the conversation over to the design of the iMacs, because this has been probably the most critical part about the reception and the reveal of these brand new iMacs. I'll start by saying this: design is subjective. What might look good to one person may not look good to somebody else, and vice versa. But I think the important thing to remember here is that companies like Apple have very big design and product teams. And they have large studios where they prototype different types of their products, different versions of their products, and they play around with the structure, the colors, the form factor, where these products are going to live in somebody's home before they ever really make a decision on which of those prototypes they're going to bring to market. So companies like Apple take a lot of time and resources and energy to really study their audience and study how a particular design is going to appeal to a certain audience or a certain community. And when it comes to the tech community, the group of people who are super excited about new products and new technologies, we oftentimes spend months or even years envisioning what new products are going to look and feel like and what they're going to be capable of months or years before the product is ever actually announced. And oftentimes the renderings in our minds are products that are super slim, they have no bezels, they're super stealthy and pro-like, and then when Apple comes out with a brand new design of one of their products, people are disappointed because it doesn't match the expectations of what they had. But again, design is subjective, and you have to remember who these products are designed for. Now, we know that Apple is fully capable of creating very sleek and powerful, bold designs because they've done so in the past and they continue to do so right now, and I think we're going to get a lot more cooler tech in the future from Apple. And there have been a lot of people who have been complaining about the white bezels on these new iMacs. They wanted black bezels because, again, that's what we had envisioned before this product was ever announced. So when Apple came out with these light-colored fronts on these iMacs and white bezels, people freaked out because, again, it wasn't what they had envisioned. But again, you have to remember that the design language that they chose for these iMacs is, number one, a homage to a lot of their older Macs, especially the iMac G3, which was those big cube-like iMacs that came in, I think, roughly the same colors as these new iMacs did, Apple just went for a very bold, colorful, playful, and fun and inviting type of a design language for these new iMacs. And personally, I think they did a really good job. I actually like the white bezels on these new iMacs just because of the color tone on the front of the iMacs. They are these pastel type colors that are very light and muted, and I think having a black bezel would be too much of an accent against these colors. But anyway, to those power users who are complaining about the white bezels and the choices that Apple made for these particular iMacs, I have one thing to say to you. Be patient. If we rewind back to WWDC 2020, that was when Apple announced that they were finally transitioning their computer lineup from the Intel chips that were powering them to their own Apple Silicon. And if you remember, they said that the transition would take about 2 years. Right now, we're barely coming up to about a year in this transition. And so far, the only computers that have really been updated to the brand new Apple Silicon has been the baseline MacBook Pro 13-inch, the MacBook Air, the Mac Mini, and now these new baseline iMacs. And we have yet another year to go for Apple to completely transition all of their computer lineup to Apple Silicon. And there's still plenty of other computers that need a design refresh and an update to Apple Silicon. There's still a lot of time left for Apple to transition the rest of their lineup into Apple Silicon. And I think what's going to come along with that is hopefully a few more redesigns. So be patient. There's going to be a lot of cool products coming out from Apple this year and into next, and I think we should all be really excited about what's to come. Okay, so I want to quickly go over some of the tech specs in case you guys are not familiar with what these machines are. So these are brand new iMacs. This is meant to replace the baseline 21-inch iMac. So these new iMacs come in a 24-inch display panel, and the display itself is a 4.5K Retina display. The configurations for memory start at 8 gigabytes and go up to 16 gigabytes, and storage starts off at around 256 gigabytes, and it can be upgraded all the way up to 2 terabytes. It also finally has a 1080p FaceTime web camera, and they finally redesigned the Magic Keyboard that comes with these iMacs, so now you have a color-matched keyboard and mouse to go along with whatever color that you choose for this iMac. And it finally comes with Touch ID, so you can unlock your iMac with just your fingerprint, which is also really cool. And the baseline, at least here in the United States, the baseline iMac starts at $12.99. And a few other things they have. Finally, a magnetic power cable that just clicks onto the back. And for the baseline iMacs, you can start off with 2 Thunderbolt USB-C ports, and you can configure it up to, I think, 4 ports in total. So 2 Thunderbolt and 2 additional USB-C ports. So I spent a lot of time explaining who this iMac isn't for. So I want to talk a little bit about who this iMac is for. And I essentially have 3 categories that really come to mind when we think about who this brand new 24-inch iMac is for. Number 1, this is for the general user. So somebody who's not a power user but just needs an all-purpose computer at their home so that they can do stuff. And this can be things like web browsing, document editing, photo editing, media consumption, etc. The second type of person that I think might like these computers is somebody who's looking for a budget option for their setup at home. Somebody who doesn't want to spend a lot of money on a computer but still needs something fully capable. Now, I will say that Apple's products generally aren't the cheapest, but I think they are very good investments. So at home, for my parents and everybody else, we actually are still running a 2009 iMac. The baseline iMac, it had a really old school Intel Duo processor. The thing is slow, but it still works. So I think these computers are gonna last people a very, very long time. And finally, I think the last type of user that this computer might be for is somebody who might be new to Apple. So if you are new to Apple, or you're thinking about getting your first Mac or just your first Apple product, then I would highly recommend this one. Now, the Mac Mini as well as the MacBook Air are also great places to start if you want a Mac. However, if you're just looking for a general purpose all-encompassing computer for your home, then I think the iMac would be a great choice. All right, so I think that the coolest part about these iMacs in general is that they are an obvious tribute to the generations of iMacs that Apple has created before, and an obvious tribute to the very first G3 powered iMacs that came in all sorts of different colors. They were fun, vibrant, playful, and they're really a tribute to what the iMacs have stood for up until this point in Apple's history. So I am really excited about this entire transition, firstly, to Apple Silicon. I think we're going to get a lot of really capable and powerful devices from Apple. We already have really incredible devices coming out this past year, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this Apple Silicon and what it can do in these brand new Mac computers in the future. Now, WWDC is just around the corner. I think it's a little over a month out. That is the Software Developers Conference for Apple, and we're going to get a first look at Mac OS, iOS, iPadOS, and maybe even more news about Apple Silicon. So stay tuned to that. I'm super excited. I think we're going to see a lot of cool products coming out in the next year, or in the second half of Apple's transition to their own Apple Silicon. But I think these new iMacs are going to do very, very well. And in fact, we're actually ordering one to replace our 2009 iMac for my parents. So that should be really fun. And if you guys want a video on that, just let me know. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.